So what was your weird dream like?
Which one?
Well, the one that you were just discussing. The one that you didn't want to tell your girlfriend.
Oh, yeah, so I was helping a friend of mine move in with her boyfriend, but it was weird because their house had nothing in it, and all they had were groceries, but they insisted that we were moving in, like, moving in, but they only had groceries, and then they asked me for, like, paper plates, and I said, well, okay, I guess I can go try to find some, but I wasn't paying attention to where we were physically, so I looked up Google Maps, but nothing around me made sense, and I was getting really scared, and then I woke up. I'm not. This isn't even a bit. This is legitimately a dream I had this morning.
It's wild from start to finish. Goddamn night.
See, that's the thing. It's like it was the weirdest thing.
It's such a bizarre dream.
Yeah, I've been having weird dreams lately. Like I haven't been sleeping too well. I've been stressed at work, so maybe that's part of it.
Fair.
It's just things have been a bit crazy in other aspects of my life, but it's like I don't usually get weird dreams like that.
It makes you feel any better. In the middle of talking to a customer, I was so tired and so sleep deprived that I started in the middle of answering her question, switched to the chapter of the book I was reading for a school assignment, and then switched back over to her original question midway through. Like if I was reading a sentence like "I am weird," I would read "I" and then I would say chapter 2 and then "weird." You would have both the conversations in line with each other, but say different sections of the different sentences at the same time.
Ken, you need sleep.
I did need sleep, yes.
You still need sleep.
You need sleep in general, but I am impressed.
I stayed up. I stayed up all night one time when I was a child, and I'm still tired.
Granted,
I can go 2 days on 2 hours of sleep.
that's such a bad idea.
I didn't say it was good. I said I can do it.
He
Like I can go down the street and eat a dog with my bare hands, but I'm not gonna do it.
You know, King. I feel like you have some repressed thoughts. If only we were talking about someone who knew all about that.
Huh. And you were talking about your dreams. If only there was somebody who could interpret those dreams.
But it's a shame. It's not like we're gonna do an episode on Sigmund Freud.
Maybe,
Oh wait.
maybe murdering the dog was a weird sex thing.
So
Maybe an oral fixation?
we'll get there. So strap in, everybody, because it's gonna be a fun one. You thought Fire Emblem was? You thought that was pretty tame? We're jumping right into it with Sigmund Freud. Joker, you look very sad. What's wrong?
It's just Freud. He was a crackhead.
Literally.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well,
Figuratively and literally.
Yeah.
He had that crackhead energy. All right.
I think he had big dick energy before that was a thing.
He was tased by 4 cops and continuing to streak down the street energy.
I don't think I don't.
That's not an image I need in my head.
I don't think that's a thing.
No, it is. I think the guy took I don't know the exact number, but I'm gonna say it's 12. 12 tasers, kept going while streaking down Manhattan Avenue.
This isn't in the notes.
No, it's not.
This is not in the notes.
No, this is not something Sigmund Freud did. This is a real thing. A guy took multiple shots from tasers, and it took 6 to 10 officers piling on top of him to get him to stop running because he was so high that he couldn't feel pain.
Was he from Florida?
No, this is New York.
Was he Albanian?
I don't know. He was white and he was naked and he was running down the street in the middle of New York.
Close enough.
It was by Times Square, but it wasn't on the main street. Because I know it wasn't Manhattan, whatever. It was some other side street. I don't know the name. But I could see the billboards in the background as they were tackling it.
So.
Did not expect it to go that route.
No. It does have to do with drugs. And
yes, exactly.
Freud was on a lot of them.
Yes.
A lot of coke.
Yeah, so one thing, guys, to keep in mind, with some of these topics, what we kind of want to do is, Joker and I both do research on different things, but for the sake of hilarity, we don't check each other's notes that deeply.
No.
Deep. It's a Freud joke. So, keep in mind, what Joker and I are about to talk to each other about, we don't have a lot of exposure to.
No.
So this is going to be new to us, and King... I assume you're just gonna eat this up, or just kind of suffer with us, whichever you prefer.
I don't know what you mean by eat this up, because when we're talking about Freud, that does not go anywhere good very quickly. At all.
There's so many innuendos. I can't handle it.
If it's anything like Anna eat this up is going to be very bad very quickly. We're gonna get into like what's it called? Like straitjacket territory very quickly if we're talking about eating things.
Oh, just wait until you hear about everything that we pulled up. Actually, not all of it is bad. Just like 90% of it.
Yeah.
Not to mention that his daughter contributed more to science. More meaningful things to science, I should say.
For a long time, his theories weren't accepted.
Yeah?
Until pretty recently, they all got fucking rejected in a line.
It's a shame.
I mean...
all of his life's work.
Yep. Just all completely fucking knocked down like dominoes.
I mean, that's kind of like the same thing as saying nobody outright said that pigs can't fly. But
That's you.
Nobody outright said that pigs can't fly. They just kind of knew they didn't. And then just randomly people started saying, okay, pigs definitely can't fly. Can't fly, can't fly, can't fly. 500 years later, when we all knew it anyway.
I mean...
Do you really have to say that the sky is blue?
I'd like to see a scholarly source on that. Okay, Reddit.
Yeah, we'll go on Google Scholarly. That's a good source, right?
Sure.
What, would you rather, oh god, what was the name of it? Study Island?
I forgot that existed.
Same.
I know, and I lived my whole life, and I could have lived without it.
Hmm?
Khan Academy is better than Study Island. I'll say it.
That gets all high schoolers through math. I'm convinced.
Yeah.
I learned more from an Indian man teaching me quadratic equations, more so... Okay, actually, I had pretty chill math teachers, you know. I can't even make that joke. I had pretty chill math teachers.
Mine were batshit.
That's
I
fair.
learned more from Barnes & Noble's convenience store than I did from some of my teachers.
Ooh. Barnes & Noble. Ooh.
What can I say? Public school sucked. He can agree with me.
Yeah. It wasn't for me.
What do you mean? I also went to public school. We went to the same school.
I know that, but we never had any of the same classes except for maybe once, or it was something basic like gym.
We had gym together.
Yeah, exactly. That was about it. Gym and maybe some study halls. That was really it.
Right. Well, because
Yeah.
Joker, you and I had math for a little bit.
Right.
That teacher,
was-
I liked that teacher. I mean, she had her moments, but
Yeah. And if you tried to ask for help with that teacher, you would basically get nothing.
that's why I didn't.
Yeah. You'd get condescended to.
How much you want to bet she was stuck in one of the 5
if I remember
stages?
correctly.
Hey, 5 stages. Joker, you know all about the 5 stages, don't you?
Sure.
Now, I actually have no idea what you're talking about outside of the fact that it's like this weird... It's like a psychosexual development.
Yeah, exactly. It's the psychosexual development in a person's life.
Okay, so Joker, give us the lowdown. So what exactly is this foundational aspect of Freud's research?
It was essentially that when you were growing up, you would have different fascinations with different parts of your body, and different sensations would be quote-unquote pleasurable at the time, at different times in your life. And not in the way of sexually. This is more just enjoyment.
It sounds just like puberty.
Puberty is covered in one of the stages.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that explained a lot in my life, but I then I remembered that it was disproven, so I can't say that anymore.
All of this is disproven.
Content
Everything in our
warning,
notes.
everybody. It's about to get really spicy.
So first we start with the oral stage.
Right.
Oh, no.
And that's essentially when kids are like teething and they're throwing anything that they can in their mouth because it's fun. It's something to do.
Oral is not sexual. Only
It is
you
not.
are if you think that it is.
Well, I feel like in this context, yes and no.
Right.
With Freud, I feel like there's a weird gray line.
There is. So if somebody's stuck in the oral stage, that they never mature or pass that stage, they'll
Hence all the
essentially...
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Sorry, what were we going to say, Kay?
I was gonna say hence all the people doing drugs. That's why it's called the oral stage. They're
That's it.
constantly putting drugs in their mouth,
Yeah, absolutely.
like Freud.
We'll get there.
But if somebody's stuck in the oral stage later on in life, they will essentially derive more pleasure in a sexual sense from kissing or oral sex rather than heterosexual sex or homosexual sex, depending
Heterosexual sex. We're talking about Freud. He did not accept homosexuals.
He did not. He was in 1905. He was around in 1905, so that was widely condemned at the time.
He was an old white guy. I don't know what to tell you.
True.
I feel like old people. I feel like everyone in general though wasn't okay with it, from my understanding.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody in power, no. Everybody that was okay with it, you would never hear from them because they would never make themselves known.
True.
It's true.
Yeah. That's where the term "in the closet" came from, because they had to hide from people like this guy, one of the leading scientists of his time. A complete sham.
That is scary.
Like some current people that we know, but we are not allowed to discuss.
Nope, we're not going to get into that.
Exactly. So anyway.
Wait until they're outdated.
Exactly.
There we go.
Hey.
Once they're dead and gone, then I can talk about all the people that I despise in modern science.
Yep, that's fine.
Hence the reason why I'm not in research anymore.
Oof.
Right.
So there's oral. Well, what's next? Oh God, I'm
Yeah.
I'm looking at the notes. Just
Yep.
you know what? Just go
It's
ahead.
okay. Here, I'll take it. First, you start at the top, then you end up at the bottom because
That's really
as-
funny,
as-
King.
What?
That's so funny.
because obviously when you put something in your mouth, it has to come out somewhere, and you don't want it to be out your mouth. That feels gross. It feels comparably less gross to have it come out of your anal stage.
Thank you. Yeah, that's about the best segue we're going to get out of this.
Oh my gosh.
Second was the anal stage, which is essentially centered around feces and in the time period of when a person is becoming potty trained.
Again, it just seems like this normal thing. Like why does God have the sexual aspect?
I don't know.
Look,
it's really fucking weird.
I get it. It's fundamental to the human experience, but damn.
Think of it like Piaget.
No,
But
I
just
don't want
add
to.
porn.
No, I refuse.
I refuse. I would simply refuse.
Or better yet, Piaget,
Yeah.
but then add OnlyFans.
Moving on.
Yes, moving on.
So if somebody's stuck in this stage, they would essentially become tight with their money and frugal in a sense, which to me is a huge fucking stretch. Just using two different senses of the exact same word for literally nothing.
It sounds like pseudoscience almost.
It is. Most of his work was coke based, so you know.
Hey,
It's whatever connections make sense when you're on that fucking drug.
I guess, but
It's like you're on an eternal hallucinogen dream.
Yeah.
don't do drugs, kids.
Yeah.
Which you shouldn't be watching this episode. It's not appropriate.
It's not appropriate for kids, which is why we tick that box, kiddos.
Or
Or
okay, they're gonna find a way anyway.
Yeah, I'm
Wait,
sure.
yeah, it's fair.
Everybody over 10 goes on Disney without their parents' permission. They're already monsters.
Hey.
Okay, so all right. Okay. Oral makes sense. Anal makes sense. But where do you go from there?
Oh boy, do I have a fucking way to go from there. It's the phallic stage. And yes, I said phallus.
As you may have heard of Oedipus Rex, or you might have heard of his odd complex.
Go ahead. I'm not stopping you.
I don't remember all the words. And I know I messed it up already.
What was that?
Oh, I can play it for you later, but it's a song. Here, I'll look up the name of it. That way anybody watching can look it up.
Right.
But the
Okay.
guy is dead now, I believe. I could be wrong.
So
This stage focuses on the characteristics of sex, but it is not sexual yet because this is one of the stages of development.
okay, sexual but not sexual. Got it.
Right. It focuses on everybody's sexual parts, essentially.
Still not sexual though.
No,
By the
no,
way,
no,
for
no.
reference,
No, not at all.
For reference, it's Tom Lehrer. I'm probably saying that wrong. It's okay. I'll play it on the break.
Sounds good.
But anyway.
And this is the idea of the Oedipus Complex, which...
Okay.
Do we have to explain it?
Well, so this is something that I was curious about because you looked more into this than I did.
Yes.
I've heard before that men in general, they tend to be attracted to women that are more similar to their mother in terms of like personality or characteristics. Is there at least some basis for that with the Oedipus thing? Because like banging someone's mom, that to me seems like a stretch.
Yeah, that
But
part
like,
is...
if you're used to like growing up around a certain personality, you might want to keep that in the future. Like, is there any connection there that you found, or?
I think that there is a sort of connection in there in like a real sense, but I don't think it's the fact. I don't think it stems from a man wanting to bang his mom. Like the Oedipus complex suggests.
Right. It just seems like again, it's like a stretch.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, okay, let's think. All right, phallic stage, sexual development, mom banging. Like,
Yep.
And then, if you want to make a real scientific argument, the best argument without knowing anything about psychology would be to argue that it's more of a homeopathic decision where you're choosing to maintain the equilibrium of your life by finding a woman who will fulfill the same needs as your mom. Henceforth, you will look for someone who is more like your mother compared to not like your mother. So, for instance, if your mom was a lazy person that sat around the house and did nothing, you are more likely to go after someone who is larger, sits around the house, and doesn't do anything. Or by contrast, if your mom goes around every day and works all over the house, does all the work, you're more likely to look for a housewife as you get older.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Why couldn't Freud have figured that out?
Because
Busy on the coke.
Exactly. Because just like Oedipus, if there's one thing that you can definitely guarantee is that he loved his mother.
But he didn't know. He didn't know until later.
No, and then he clawed his eyes out. I think it was.
Yeah. He gouged his eyes out one by one. A tragic tale of a loyal son who loved his mother.
Oh yeah, you did show me that video.
You have to show me this, King, after the recording.
I totally forgot.
Okay, Joker.
It's okay. I have an earbud in. I'll do it in the exact same tone if it ever comes back up.
So men have the Oedipus complex, and women have their own version of it, and I do not remember the name, and I didn't write it down because I'm a fucking idiot.
Give me a moment. It's okay. But keep going.
It's obviously largely rejected by the community, as most of this theory is at this point, because it's wildly outlandish, with men being obsessed with their mothers and all that shit. It's just bizarre. I do agree with King's assessment of it being the same personality type, but I don't think it stems from men wanting to bang their mother.
Well, because isn't there like the thing of like I'm remembering that Salmonella video where he talks about penis envy?
Right.
So is that the female aspect?
It is, and it has its own separate term, but also I don't think that that's based in any sort of reality either.
I mean, it just seems like, well, like you look for, okay, a woman, assuming she's straight,
right?
She looks for a partner, and if she's used to the dad in terms of personality traits, you'd want to emulate that. Again,
right.
To me, it just seems like a fair connection to make, but...
Right.
But no. We have to add the sex component to it. Ooh.
Oh, and a fun fact. The female version does not come from Freud. It actually comes from his bastardized pupil named Carl Jung.
Oh, Jung.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whatever. Same difference. It's called the Electra Complex, which
That's
derives also from Greek myth.
Why do all the Greek myths have to contain something weird? Like, in that way?
Because the Greeks were batshit.
Until orthodoxy.
No, they were still batshit.
Well, no, their economy still sucked.
But they were still batshit crazy.
I'm biased, so I'm going to
Have
give them the benefit of the doubt.
Have you ever met the man named Alcibiades?
What the hell is that?
He single-handedly convinced the Greeks into losing a war because he just decided to do something. And he just was that nice that he decided... Not literally nice, but he was that good-looking that people just said, "Oh, great, Alcibiades. Let's go do whatever you say, Alcibiades. It doesn't matter if that flies in the face of what all our journals are telling us. We're just going to go along with you, Alcibiades, because you're just so damn awesome and cute."
Alcibiades nuts.
That's a good one. I love that. High five.
Oh, shit.
Go again. There. Oh, you heard that one.
Hell yeah.
It's alright. Just like real sex. The second time is always better than the first.
So what's next, Joker?
So I hope you guys are enjoying my little parenthesis and the kind of scattered about my notes here.
This theory is also stupid, comma, and outlandish in every sense.
I had to add the comma.
Yep. You gotta be sure it's grammatically correct as you're absolutely decimating these theories.
Exactly. Because if you are not grammatically correct, then you have not been on Reddit.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make a lengthy Reddit post. We'll make it full of typos. Another Salmonella reference, everybody.
I will murder you in your sleep.
I miss him so much.
Me too.
God. Come back, Sam, please.
Isn't he on, what's that other one called? Nebula?
Oh, maybe.
Or is he out completely right now?
I think it might be out completely.
Probably.
Yeah, it's tragic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well.
Not as tragic as suppressing things, but it's not like there's a stage for that or anything.
Oh boy, do I have news for you!
You're gonna love these transitions, everybody.
Fourth is the latency stage.
I already hate it.
Yep, same. All of this was just had me with my head in my hands.
No.
So fourth is the latency stage where everything's mostly suppressed. Any sort of desires or urges or anything are just completely brought into the subconscious, which is part of Freud's three aspects of personality, which
Oh,
we'll
boy.
get into.
Oh boy.
This is where the person develops actual things that aren't based on sex or gender or anything like that, where they get their hobbies and skills and all that other shit. And then fifth stage is the genital stage.
I feel like if we've already touched on the phallic stage, see, I thought we were done with genitals, but I guess not.
Boy, howdy are we not, sadly.
It just gets worse from here.
Wait, on. I have a very serious question that I never found the answer to.
What's that?
What's the difference between the phallic stage and the genital stage? Isn't a phallic another name for a version of a genital? For one of the genital parts of the male anatomy?
It is.
And there's no corresponding version for the female anatomy?
There's not.
I have so many questions.
Freud was sexist. Let's go with that.
I'm willing to bet that.
Yeah, same.
Honestly, if I knew nothing about Freud, I would honestly accept it based off of everything that we've heard so far.
So Joker, what's the fifth stage like?
It's when the person hits puberty and their focus essentially shifts to entirely based on sex.
What?
Because gay people don't have rights according to Freud.
Yep.
What?
All those theories were based on heterosexuality because at the time homosexuality was condemned.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's allowed to do it as long as it's not written down.
Yes?
What? That's what they believed.
Go on, Joker.
I'm joking, by the way. If that wasn't obvious, calm down, Twitter.
So at the time, it was believed that if somebody was stuck at an earlier stage, they would get pleasure from something else other than intercourse, meaning physical touch, blah, blah, blah. What we know today as love languages, I believe.
Yeah.
And like I had said earlier, the oral stage would be, or if somebody were stuck in that stage, they would get more pleasure from oral sex and kissing rather than from sexual intercourse.
Because sexual intercourse is all that matters.
Sure.
What? I'm talking as Freud here.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Shut up, Freud. I mean, well, it's interesting if that's where the love languages thing from. To me, it makes sense, right? You have these different aspects of your personality which you express, and that's how you would express love, or that's how you accept love.
Yeah.
To me, that's a much more logical, a much more not terribly insane crackhead nonsense like this.
Well, yeah, but it would be more accurate to say that he got this from the same research that gave birth to the studies, because multiple things were created the love language thing. It was based on a few different things, including the attachment style of infants. That was also another thing that influenced it as well.
I mean, you have to start somewhere. So I'll at least give Freud that. He at least got us somewhere better. But good grief. Did we have to get there this way? I know, look, I understand the journey is more important than the destination. Well, in some cases. But in this case...
Not in this one.
My goodness. Ugh.
So as a whole, I hate this theory.
I can tell.
Yeah.
It's okay. Now we get to go to Anna O.
Oh,
Because that definitely was her name.
Yeah, sure. Anna O definitely wasn't just a pseudonym.
For a woman that ended up fighting for women's rights later in her life.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Huh.
Supposedly. I couldn't corroborate it, but that is one of the things that I found out as to what happened to her after. Because I was very confused on this random woman coming in her 20s, showing up, getting treatment, being declared cured, and then leaving, and then no mention afterwards. Every time I would look Freud up, it would always end that she left happily, like some sort of Disney fairy tale, as if that really is how she got fixed.
Okay, well, wait, like classic Disney fairy tales or like modern Disney?
Well, it doesn't matter because you never find out what happens afterwards either way.
Well, I mean, Disney also make it less terrible for most of the stories. Most of the time, the princesses die.
Yeah. Oh, okay, less terrible. That's very fair.
Yeah.
I've read the original stories. They get very spicy in some ways.
Little Mermaid.
Oh, that's not even the half of it.
Oh no, I know, but that's the one that always comes into my mind.
Well, yeah, but that's Hans Christian Andersen. His stories were always dark.
Ooh.
They always had bad endings. Speaking of which, we should do something like that for Disney later on.
Do you guys want to do a Disney episode later on?
That could be fun.
That
Sure.
could be.
Only if I get to bash Disney for like
Oh my
most
god.
of it, if not all of it.
Are
I'll
you
tell
kidding?
you what. We'll make a
I would
multi.
love to hear that.
What we'll
Yeah.
do is we'll make a multi-episode thing where we have a discussion and then a rant.
Ooh. I know a
That's-
thing or
that
two
sounds
about
fun.
rants.
Exactly. We'll split it up. That way we don't upload one 3-hour recording of us getting angry at Disney and how bad the original stories are. Because I do know a lot about those stories.
We should read some of them.
Oh, I have the original book too. Like one of the original storybooks where they would talk about all the common fairy tale stories. Because my family's German, so we have one of those. It's 80 years old.
How do you have every ethnicity in you? I swear to God.
Yeah.
This man, this king, literally, you're everything. Don't you even have some Chinese in you or something, or some
No, that's one of the
Eastern
only
Asian?
things I don't have. I do have Indian.
I'm
I have
sorry
Indian.
for.
So
Oh, that doesn't count.
No, I don't have. I don't have any of what people commonly think of as Asian,
Mm-hmm.
but I do have most of the others. I don't have Russian, but I don't have Chinese. I don't have Japanese. I don't have Taiwan. I don't have Laos. I don't have Korean. I do have Indian, Ethiopia, France, Germany, either Ireland or what's the other one? Either Ireland or Scotland. I don't know which. I think it was Irish, but I could be wrong.
I like to see the ancestry DNA test
me
results.
too.
Honestly, I would love to, but that's a lot of money.
That's fair.
That's a lot of money for something I already know.
Fair enough.
Literally, the only thing I'm missing is South African continent, because I have Islander, but I don't have South African continent,
Mm.
and I don't have Australian. Although Australian is basically British if you're talking about ancestry.
Yeah, British.
Yes.
it never gets old for me.
Fair.
Say, speaking of finding out things, Joker, what else did you find out? Give us some deets.
So there's the story of Anna O, or that King was talking about.
I have no idea who this is, so I'm actually really curious.
This is when Freud and his teacher had developed the theory of the id, super id, and ego.
Oh no.
Or no, I got that wrong. It's ego, superego, and id.
Ugh.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's all out of the water at this point.
I never really understood the difference between the ego, superego, and ID. So please explain.
Shit. I know this.
It's okay. Here, how about this?
Well,
Let's start
because-
with the ego and superego. What's the difference?
Because I have a whole thing on the id.
Okay.
So let's save that for later.
With the story of Anna O, she would fall into hysterics and become paralyzed whenever she would get triggered, as she would say,
Triggered.
to a point where she would be unable to speak, unable to move, literally unable to do anything. And through Freud's psychoanalysis, he had found out that this was because of trauma that she had suppressed from, I believe it was a dog that she absolutely hated drinking water out of a
Yes.
glass.
No, that was because she saw a dog that she hated drink out of a glass, and then it
Yes.
manifested her hatred into fearing water. That was the explanation.
This woman sounds like the stereotypical angry feminist.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
she sounds.
That's
like a
what it
Twitter feminist,
screams.
yes.
Yeah, the Twitter variety.
Feminists are not bad, but Twitter feminists are.
It's a Twitter variety. Calm down, guys.
And if you're really getting offended by that, then tell me, when's the last time you went on Twitter and didn't get offended?
It's fair. Have you seen our tweets?
We-
Follow us on Twitter at TKCRG2021, by the way.
Don't worry, we'll post an angry feminist later on Twitter just to see how many people respond.
Oh,
I'm not doing
I'll
that.
do it myself.
please don't do that.
Like hell you're doing that.
I will happily do it.
This
King,
is
no.
why I run the social media.
Yeah, thank God. King would run it into the ground.
But you would enjoy the journey. It would be a roller coaster.
I don't think I
Six
would.
Flags has nothing on me.
I would enjoy it. I absolutely would.
I wouldn't.
But Knight wouldn't. But it'd be hilarious.
It would be a trip from start to finish.
It's funnier when it's not us.
We would get run into the ground quicker than you could imagine. That is how bad
Windows
Twitter is.
breaking screens have nothing on us. Hence Windows Vista.
Ooh.
Or Vista.
No.
Whatever it is.
It would crash faster than a PC with cheese as thermal paste.
Nice.
Okay?
Jeez.
Please, a computer dying with water... a computer in a flood would not die as quickly as we would.
Yeah, fair enough, yeah.
Try me.
Okay, give me a moment.
Wait, King, what are you gonna do?
I just give King like a butterfly knife.
No. What do you have? A knife! No!
It's okay. I've survived Mr. Popo's trading. I can survive the Twitter mob.
It's one of my favorite fucking vines.
Oh, that's awesome.
I haven't looked at Vines in not years, but like months.
They have old compilations on YouTube.
Oh yeah, I know. That's what I used to watch them on. But anyway,
Anyway.
back to Anna. Oh, because we're gonna have to cut that out later in production.
What?
I think we can keep
We're not
it.
cutting anything out.
Wait, we're not. Oh shit. Okay. Well,
Why would
give
That's
me a
hilarious.
moment. I have to
That's-
delete my Twitter.
That's amazing
I
content.
could.
What are you talking about? They're not going to find your Twitter.
It's okay. I don't even have a Twitter.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I don't think
I
King has
started
any
a
social
Twitter
media.
once and I deleted it because I never used it and I got sick of the emails.
That's fair, yeah.
Yeah.
They do send a lot of emails.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell Twitter to stop sending us so many emails. Because I hate it.
It's
Yeah.
not gonna go well.
No, I
for it.
tried. I
hope
tried
it
disabling it in
doesn't.
settings and it didn't work.
Dang
Yeah.
it.
I know. I've tried. It doesn't work at all. I was able to get it off of Instagram, but I wasn't able to do it on Twitter.
Thanks, I hate it.
Hence why everybody on there is so crazy.
That's
Because
true.
they're taking out their anger at Twitter, on Twitter, to other people on Twitter who are just as angry at Twitter.
Speaking of being angry at things and being terribly insane, where does Anna O go from here, Joker?
She apparently had gone on to become a feminist.
Yes, because she died in the 1930s.
Really?
Yeah, it was like halfway through the 1930s. Like
Wow.
34 to 36.
Mm.
It might even be 38 if I'm really off. But I
Wow.
think it was 36.
Freud did apparently eventually cure her of her traumatic experiences and uncovered what she was repressing.
Like her dad dying.
Maybe.
Oh no, that actually was a thing.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, that's part of why she showed up in the first place. The original thing that she showed up for was because her dad died of tuberculosis.
Oh.
And that was what started it. Because she, instead of diagnosing her with grief like a normal person, they did eventually get to hysteria at some point, which is basically the old equivalent of grief.
Right.
But before that, we got to all of the insanity of sex before we got to the stage of grief. And then we got to the dog.
This just
Because
gets worse and
grief
worse.
wasn't an okay diagnosis, apparently.
I'm sad. No.
Not for old cokehead. Which apparently at the time cocaine was used as an anesthetic
Oh, yeah.
because it would numb the area.
Hence the entirety of oxycodone, yes.
Yes.
Makes sense.
At the time, doctors would practice cutting-edge techniques on themselves.
Yes, because
So-
that has never gone wrong.
Exactly.
Ever.
And in the case of Freud, it went wrong in the sense of him becoming hooked on cocaine.
Yes, because the Mad Hatters definitely didn't prove anything
No.
about how dangerous it was to experiment on yourself. Definitely not. The Mad Hatter definitely was not an isolated incident.
No.
Well,
Definitely.
but I have my body. It's free. I don't have to pay someone else. So why would I not use a king?
I feel like we're gonna get onto a bigger argument with that.
Let's not then.
No,
I
it's
I didn't even think about that until you said, like, you know what? That's a good point, Joker.
No, it's okay. Hey, it's okay. If you want to swallow mercury and wear it as a hat, then be my guest.
In that
Just
order?
don't expect me to save you when you're streaking down the street and the cops are shooting at you.
There.
Not my problem.
Did,
Hell
did,
yeah.
did this not Florida man do that? The guy who got tased like 10 times
I'm
in
talking
Manhattan?
about that guy, yes.
Why? Like, why freaking Mercury? You know what?
No, he wasn't on Mercury, but Mercury degrades the mind just as easily, except it's more permanent.
It's just like cocaine.
Exactly. That's where the Mad
Hey.
Hatters came from.
We tied it back in.
It's gonna be a lot of that, folks. It's gonna be so much of that.
So much cocaine.
So Joker, you mentioned to me outside of recording, he did this like recreationally. Is that right? Like the coke?
Yes, he started with it
Sorry.
to assist in his research, and then he essentially moved on to recreational use of it to the point where he isolated himself from everybody else just to go on a cocaine binge for months.
Like every teenager on pot, yes.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, no, that sucks. I mean, look, this man clearly was interesting,
Of all the people that
but he
needed
didn't deserve that.
Of all the people that needed therapy, he should have looked into the mirror.
Ooh, that's deep. Dude, all the teenage girls, which shouldn't be listening to this video.
Yeah.
No, it's okay if they listen. It's okay. It's better to listen to us than look at the people on Instagram.
I hate that you're right.
We support
Of all the
body
crazy
positivity, everybody.
Speaking of which, follow our Instagram, also at TKCRG 2021.
Where
That's
you
the
won't,
meme page.
where you won't see fake people online that make you feel crappy about yourself.
True.
See, we naturally, not forced, naturally plugged our social media. I'm impressed.
Yeah. Now we just have to plug YouTube somehow.
Well, they're
Follow
listening.
me, follow us.
no.
They're listening on YouTube. That's a problem for later, when we're not on YouTube.
More on that later.
Oh yeah, I forgot to do that.
Oh man.
Yeah, I said I was gonna do it when I got home, and then by the time I got home, I was tired, and then I completely forgot that I needed to do it.
Good, you should get some sleep.
Exactly. I've spent many years operating on 2 or 3 hours of sleep. I can't do that anymore. I'm old, and I'm not even 30.
Would you say that you were seeing red when you were operating?
I would not say red as a color. I would say a lot of other things, but red was not one of them.
You know what else was red?
I feel like I should know this.
Commies.
But I wanted to talk about the id.
Fair enough.
Wait. Also, I gotta make a point of this because someone's gonna point it out in the comments.
I don't.
You never answered my question. What's the difference between ego and superego?
I don't remember.
Okay,
But I believe Night
then
will
we'll go on
in.
to ID.
Well, so because Joker, you mentioned there's the ego, there's the superego, and then there's the id.
Right.
Okay, so what was funny was one thing that came up in my research, and I just thought of instantly. They referenced the id in an episode of the hit Disney cartoon Phineas and Ferb. Which is weird because you'd think of all the things you could talk about in a kid's show, like seriously, they bring it up. They really did their research on this one.
As in, they actually mention the concept of the id, ego, and superego.
Well, they talk all about the id for most of the episode. It's like the main antagonist.
Wow.
I'm surprised that in an episode of Engineers they decided to put a psychotherapist who talks about sex over Nikola Tesla.
We'll get there.
Yeah, you'll see.
So, it sounds outlandish, right? Like Phineas and Ferb of all things. Like, I mean, okay, first of all, amazing show.
Sure.
You watched it, right, growing up?
I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I haven't seen a lot of the episodes.
Two Convertible Incorporated.
You see, I'm just saying, I think it's one of the best. It's probably the best show Disney's ever put out.
Wow.
I am willing.
Oh, definitely not.
I'm really. Oh, really? What is the best one?
Oh, I have no idea.
See that? Oh, what'd you look at? So, yes.
No, it was definitely the most inspirational. I will give you that.
Hey, inspirational like the id.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so for those of you who haven't watched the show, because remember we're Zoomers, we're young people. Basically, Candace, the older sister of the titular main characters, she makes this weird gift for her love interest Jeremy, but she loses it, so she tries to make a new one, but she can't describe what it's like. Now you think, right? What would be the logical solution? do you think you just make a new one and try to just do your best from your memory?
I mean, yeah, you would think so.
Not when you're on coke.
Well, Phineas and Ferb must have been on coke, because what they do is they build a machine and then they jump into her mind so that they can get an exact replica image from her memory so they can then rebuild the gift.
What?
That's the premise of the episode. I'm not making that up. That's their solution.
But if she made the first one, how could she not make the second?
Wait,
so okay,
what?
so they jump into her mind.
Okay,
I
right.
agree with you, Joker. It's
What?
dumb. It's a kid's show.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Wait, I'm confused. This all sounds very logical to me. What doesn't make sense?
You know, I got nothing. I'm destroyed by facts and logic.
No, because it's completely logical. You cannot remember something, so
Jump
in
into
order to
someone's
remember-
mind, King. I'm
Okay,
the illusionist.
Okay,
I mean, with
I'll give you
psychoanalysis.
that.
Hey.
That being their first solution is probably the most abnormal thing of this whole episode, but it is a viable solution.
Okay, but what's weird is how accurately they describe the id.
Okay.
Like, that's what's freaky. Okay, so they jump into Candace's mind, right? And they're going through, it's like this magical adventure and whatnot. At one point, so one of the characters literally, they use the term id to describe this, like, monster. It's like, this, like, grotesque version of Candace, like, starts chasing them and trying to kill them. I'm not kidding. Like, she tries to eat them at one point.
Like, what kind of version? Like, what does it look like? Do you know?
She's like huge, bulky, green skin, like jagged teeth.
Think of it like the Hulk if he went feral.
Yes, and
Oof.
yeah, it looks like the Hulk, and basically, and literally, the character Balji is like, yeah, that's her id, and they're like, what are you talking about? And then he says something to the effect of, it's basically her repressed aggression, and she sees you guys, Phineas and Ferb, as prey. Because what it shows, like, in her mind, like, these gazelle that look like Phineas and Ferb, and they're running away from this monster.
Because the entire show is her trying to tell her mom that they are doing crazy stuff in the backyard.
Exactly. And it's just, it captures the id, which is kind of like, well, because we mentioned the ego and the superego. The id, it's kind of like this suppressed instinct. It's typically associated with sex and aggression, which ties a bit into the episode, because at one point, they're able to distract her monster id with thoughts of Jeremy, who is, in fact, her love interest.
Right.
And again, the aggression part that's fairly obvious. It tries to kill her damn brothers.
Right.
Well, kill them in her mind. And it just goes on this whole thing. And essentially, yeah, she wants to secure the kill on her brothers. And eventually it keeps... you can tell, like, the priorities are they keep getting flipped. Because again, she loves Jeremy, but she also wants to destroy her brothers.
Right.
It's this weird part of the id that just for some reason they didn't have to go that hard into, but they did, and it's really neat. It, like, God, for as pseudoscientific as it is, it's kind of cool to see that a cartoon show put that much care into the reference.
Yeah, it definitely seems like they really did the research on Freud's theories and the id in this case to kind of get it right.
Well, that's what's interesting, though. It's like, for something it's such a fascinating way for storytelling.
Right.
Like, the way you can express a character and their deeper motivations.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's at least something to a repressed motivation where it's not on the surface. Like, where you think, maybe this character, they're not exactly playing with a full deck of cards. They're not really showing me their hand.
Right.
But I love that aspect of how you can use that in storytelling.
Right.
It's just, the writers really knew what they were doing. Mm-hmm. With most of that show, mind you.
Yeah.
I will sing my praises of Phineas and Ferb all day. It's a fantastic show. Mm-hmm. But it's like, I didn't think I'd be talking about this in regards to Sigmund Freud.
Right. Yeah.
Which is really weird. Mm-hmm. Like, it's so weird.
Normally when you put sex and show in the same sentence, it is not a positive thing.
No.
Well, so that's the thing. They keep... It never gets inappropriate in the show. They just use it to... It basically just acts as an antagonistic force, impeding their progress.
Exactly.
God, I can't even remember how that episode resolves, but eventually it all solves itself. It's just... Yeah, it's weird to think, like, of all the things they could do in an episode, and they go that route. Because the kids aren't going to understand it.
No.
It's cooler for the adults.
Yeah.
Except for Ferb.
Well, Ferb
Who
is a
understands
genius.
everything.
Ferb is... He's the stoic genius. Let's be real.
That is true.
What were you going to say, Joker?
Another part of Freud's research actually does delve into dreams and different
Yeah.
interpretations with them, so that could have also been another reference to his research
Right.
in the story.
Oh, jeez. For some reason, it just made me think of that SpongeBob episode where SpongeBob keeps jumping between people's dreams.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
We should do a SpongeBob episode.
We'll do
Hell
that
yeah.
later on because that's gonna get really trippy. And depending on what part of the show you're talking about, that's gonna be like 3 days worth of talking.
Oh, I can show you some really cool stuff with that. There's some weird theories out there, man.
Okay.
But off,
We will.
We're getting off topic.
Right.
As if we haven't gone off topic a bunch in this episode.
Definitely.
Oh, jeez.
So-
Well, one
One
thing I wanted to mention, actually, because we are talking about references in social media and pop culture, we did find in our research there's this really neat show online. It's called
Oh God! No, we're not allowed to. We're not allowed to do the plug-in for this. This is very inappropriate. Are we age gated?
What are you talking about?
Are we age gated on this episode? Because if not, we are not allowed to do this.
I mean, I can't.
I will put my foot down. I will put the foot down on this one.
I don't see anything wrong with it.
Can you imagine a 6-year-old watching that episode that I described to you, and see their child, their parent, not come after you?
Why is a 6-year-old on YouTube when there's YouTube Kids?
What 6-year-old goes on YouTube Kids willingly?
Why don't they just separate the two?
Because that's money.
Okay, well, look. I want to plug other creators.
Oh God.
Look, okay, look. If you're a kid listening to this,
I, King, do not condone this. Of all the things that I have said and done, this is the one thing I don't condone.
you see, now that's
Not for the
surprising.
kids.
That's
Hey,
surprising.
Not for the kids, no.
The kids shouldn't be listening to this anyway.
Exactly my point. I watched the episode. It's gold, but I can't condone kids watching that.
King, we discussed 5 psychosexual developmental stages, but I can't plug another creator online.
You are allowed to plug the other creator, but considering what Freud does in episode 5 in his pet, I cannot legally condone that for children.
If you are below the age of 18, do not watch the show that I'm about to plug. It is very clearly for adults. Full stop. I thought that was obvious. King.
Okay, it's fine now. Now can we meet Schweng? He's a snake that sheds like penis.
Okay, so yeah, we found this really neat show. It's called Super Science Friends, and it was. Let me see here. It's from Tin Man Creative Studios. This guy named what's his name? Let me find it. Brett Jubinville, who also voices the character of Sigmund Freud. It's independent animation. It kind of would fit at home with Adult Swim. It's a bit too educational, I think. But it is, like, from what little we watched, like, it was really good.
Oh, I watched the entire episode. I watched more than you. It was amazing.
No, honestly, like, because I watched it, they also have on their website, which we'll link in the description of this video along with our sources, they also have, like, little educational content. That's more, it's funny, but in the style. That stuff is good, too. Like, the guy here, he really does his research. And
It's like Courage the Cowardly Dog levels of good.
yes.
Wow.
But, like...
Except, less insane and more informative.
It's true. But like, the animations, it has a nice style. The humor is good. Honestly, like, if you want something that's fun and it's funny, I'd highly recommend Super Science Friends, Brett Jubinville. We'll leave their links in the description. Definitely give it a watch.
But is it less scarring than Courage the Cowardly Dog?
It is way less scarring.
A lot less scarring. In fact, if you aren't very well learned, you probably just sit there and be bored the entire time. All the jokes are more geared towards older people, so it's very hard, like, for a kid to watch it. You wouldn't understand any of the jokes at all.
That's another reason you kids shouldn't watch it. Go back to YouTube Kids. Yeah.
Yeah, go watch your Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Yeah, that's definitely gonna be on YouTube
Sure.
Kids.
I'll be honest, I really don't like that show.
Really?
I mean, that's fair. I didn't like it that much, but it was an interesting show.
I'll give it that. It was interesting. Maybe it's because the main character doesn't really talk.
Okay.
I mean, he says words here and there, but it's not like okay, look, I'll compare it to another really weird show. Like The Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack. That was a really messed up show.
Yeah.
But
Flapjack.
Yeah, that one. At least in that show, like, most of the characters speak, and, like, I can at least get behind, like, I can bond with their personalities more, where for me, Courage is just he's just too one-dimensional for me.
Fair.
Scared dog, stop evil, weird crap from happening in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
For me, the premise and just the way the characters worked, I just couldn't get into it.
Alright, so should we also have an episode later on childhood shows?
That could be fun.
Yes, but first, we should take our break because we have to meet a time limit.
Yes, we do.
Well, so Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine.
No, what were you gonna say, Knight?
No, I was just gonna say, I had this amazing connection between Freud and the commies.
Okay, fine. Go ahead. You have exactly 1 minute and go.
Okay, one thing I kept up in my research. I'll make this quick because this is a whole rabbit hole. Like, literally, I was researching this for like 30 minutes straight, and it just kept going.
If you want, we'll make a separate video about it later.
You know, actually, that might not be a bad idea because
Oh no.
we could easily fit this into other topics. I'll at least summarize this little connection. So some of Freud's I kind of like research that was sort of retrofitted into Marxist thought. The idea being that like Freud talks about repressive mind. The mind is repressive of various aspects of ourselves. The id, the ego, the superego. The connection to Marxism is that the Marxists believe society as a whole is itself repressive. At least, look, it's a loose connection, but that's how they frame it. And it basically, a lot of the stuff, like, if you ever heard, like, have you ever heard, like, of the Frankfurt School?
Yes.
And, like, critical theory?
You have 5 seconds.
Some of that ties into, like, some of that Freud stuff ties into that. Look, I could go for hours on that, but I want to at least mention there is a Marxist connection with Freud. He himself was not a filthy commie. His ideas just were kind of fit into it, but in a really stupid way.
Well, you can blame Carl Jung for that, though.
Also, very vague way.
Yeah, that's the thing. In the research too, it's very vague. Like, honestly, nothing. It kind of fits, but you have to stretch. It's similar to. Actually, it's kind of indicative of Freud's research as a whole.
Yeah.
Again, there's some truth to it, but not in the way that he intended.
No.
Probably.
Yeah.
And it's like it just goes on and on. But you know what? I'm gonna save that research for a future episode because
as we are in over 50 seconds over our minute time limit.
That's fine.
Time limit. What do you mean time limit?
I gave you a minute.
We have a time limit for these episodes?
Not really.
We do now.
Damn it, King. Well, I guess do we just want to wrap it up here?
Sure.
I guess episode 2, everybody. Yeah.
Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more of our content as it comes down the pipes.
Yeah, it's I don't know about you guys, but I was pretty hyped for this one. I'm excited to go further with this.
The one time the sex and children can connect and have it not be bad.
And next episode, I believe the plan is we're going to be doing alcohol.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I believe is that the next one?
Oh, I didn't look at the calendar.
It's either okay. Well, let's look here real
Right
quick.
behind
Oh, next episode
It's behind
is
me.
History of alcohol.
Perfect.
Because
Oh my gosh, we had it on the wall the entire time. I never knew.
yeah, no.
Yep.
So
It's always been right behind you there.
No
get
wonder I
wrecked,
never
King.
saw it. I never looked behind me. I just trailblazed forward.
But yeah, so look forward to that.
Mhm.
Because we're nerds and we just want to talk about some drinks.
Yeah.
Plus, you know what? If we only talked about pop culture, that would just get boring.
Very.
Well,
Why do you think all the popular YouTubers are burning out? Because that's all they do, and they get bored of
see,
watching it.
while they're dying, we will arise from the embers like a newborn phoenix.
Sure.
I'm not trying to be antagonistic. We love you, YouTube. Just please don't kill us in the algorithm.
It's okay. We're just a deformed potato.
Well, that's just sad. So anyway, yeah,
that.
so look forward to that. Again, follow our Twitter and our Instagram. That's at TKCRG 2021. Insta for memes, Twitter for general updates. And that's about all I got. Joker, do you got anything?
Nope. I'm good.
Cool. King? Would
Whee!
you know what? Let that... King's Cabinet is adjourned.
Bye-bye!